All right, sorry about that. Hope this is coming through clear. We're having some issues, so hopefully those are taken care of. We try to get MJ in here. Again, sorry for the confusion, everyone. I don't know why it was acting weird. But if you guys can see this, please drop a comment. We're having some technical difficulties, so apologies about that. Oh, it looks like she's on too. We're really having some issues here. I'm going to ask Mary Jean to come in here. Can anybody hear me? All right, cool, Marty. Good to have you in here, brother. Thanks for joining. Welcome, everybody. Sorry we had some technical difficulties. Mary Jean in, and so we had to start another live. So apologies about that. But I think we should be good now. All right. Looks like some people are coming in now. Awesome. Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I don't know what was going on.
No, I think there's a button on there, like when you first get on, where it says it doesn't show up. You have to like look for it.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, yeah, everybody, sorry about that. But glad we were able to get those kinks worked out. Just like business, there's little fires that need to be put out every day. So that's just, that's just an example of one of them. So,
Just keep it moving.
oh yeah. How was your week?
It was good. I got a lot of moving pieces going on in both businesses, which is growing pains, I like to call them. So it's good growing pains. You know, like when you grow, when you get taller, your legs start to hurt a little
Oh yeah.
bit. So it's kind of like that, trying to just navigate. I'm learning a lot though,
Nice.
like things that I've never did before in business, like certain like verbiage and paperwork and steps and processes. And I'm like, wow, like I'm glad I'm going through this with a company that is like kind of helping me along the way. Like they know I'm small and growing.
Right.
And like any way we can help, like you're going to continue to grow now. And now you have these, I probably should have had it, but yeah. How about you?
Right.
What's new with the week?
Yeah, I had a great week as well. As you know, me and Marty are expanding and we're working on that. We got some other working on this funding business at the moment right now. So yeah, I've had a great week, blessed to be busy, productive, and
Yeah.
it's been a great week.
I just listened to that podcast today and I got a lot out of that, people.
Nice.
The true people will stay the entire time, you know?
Right.
There was a lot of cool things you touched on. The one thing that kind of stuck in my head was that transfer of trust.
Oh
that
yeah.
You mentioned that you have the staff do.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is doing those little tasks for those current clients, or even if they weren't your clients.
Right.
You know, we do that a lot, but probably not as much as you kind of went over on that one. We actually, with that big contract, they asked us to start a day early, but just go to do garbages.
Right.
I'm like, do I bill them? Do I not bill them? You know what I mean? Like, but I'm just not going to bill them.
Right.
Me and Justin did it. It took us an hour and a half. But that kind of showed me, like, don't bill them,
Right.
you know?
Right. And that's the thing, like you don't have to tax everybody, you know.
Yeah.
You do those good deeds, you do that good karma, you just look out for people. That money's going to come regardless if it comes directly from them or someone that they told about the experience.
Yeah.
But when you do good things and they're sitting around at the family reunion or, you know, maybe doing some barbecue or something if they live in a warmer climate, that's just a good conversation piece. Man, you know, these people, man, they really took care of me, you know, and that really goes a long way with word of mouth. So free advertising.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So you guys should go check that out. I don't know whose that was. I like the name though, Mama's Casserole. That was pretty dope.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my buddy Zach. He actually he has a fence business. They actually make all black vinyl fencing. So he's like a distributor of that, and they sell that product, and it's pretty sleek, man. It's a great product, and I'm met him, done business online with him, but finally got to meet him and when we went to Vegas for a fence convention. And
Awesome.
yeah, man, cool dude. And, he's growing his business and he's got his son working with him. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Go check that podcast out, guys. I know it was only episode 2. I didn't listen to episode 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I was actually his first interview.
Okay.
So the first one, he was just him talking, and I was the first one he brought on to interview. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. But
awesome. Well, enough about our chitter chatter. Sorry we had to catch up because we haven't got to talk much this week anyway. We've been super busy doing our businesses. So it's nice to catch up. I'm glad that everything is going well with the new transition and stuff. So
yeah.
Super happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's been hectic. Both businesses were changing at the same time.
Right. Oh yeah.
But we got through it. This week will be nice and calm. But Matt has some good topics to go over. I was going to touch a little bit on a few things, and then we'll open it for Q&A.
Yep. And for those that didn't see the other live, we're going to be touching on some topics. We're going to keep it very broad, and that's very intentional. So the point behind that is I want to keep these topics broad enough where you can say, oh, you know what, that sounds like something I'd like to do. And then we're going to open the floor and reward the people that show up to the live with being able to have access to us and ask us direct questions so that we can answer any of those that you may be having or any kind of, address any kind of fears or mindset issues you may be struggling with. But so we're going to do a really broad stroke on this stuff. And then if you guys got questions, please take notes. And at the end, we'll open it up and we'll answer all your questions. So I'm pumped.
Yes, let's go.
Awesome. So some things that I wanted to talk about is really just learning how to leverage real estate to generate cash flow and to get into deals. And I'm going to touch on 3 different ways. 2 of them are very obvious and a lot of people know about it. But the third one, some people will know about it, some people may not. But the greatest thing about the last one is it's such an easy investment and there's really little to no risk. So it's not very often that you can get some of the returns you can get from these investments that I'm going to share at the very end with the amount of risk that actually goes into it. So I'm excited, but I'm going to do 2 and then I'm going to let MJ go. And then just to reward the people that are still there, then I'll drop that third one. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you guys stay locked in because I promise I'm going to give you some value that you can get in very little money and really you could hit some home runs with this stuff. So I'm excited to share it with y'all.
That's dope.
Oh, yeah. So the first one I'm going to start off with is, probably something you guys have heard plenty of topics about, especially on the internet and stuff, is wholesaling. Okay, so wholesaling is a really, really good way to earn a lot of money in a short amount of time. But it takes a while to get started. Once you get your first one, though, it really proves that proof of concept to you and you can really get the momentum flowing. So wholesaling, essentially all wholesaling is you're getting the right to buy so I'm going to negotiate with the seller for, some kind of cash price, right? So say if it's 50 grand. And then I am going to sell the right to buy that house for 50 grand to a guy for 70 grand, right? And usually I'm selling to a fix and flipper or like a live-in flipper, or they call it like slow flipping. So I would be selling it to someone like that. So I'm going to make that 20K spread or 10K, so if they're like, man, the most I could pay is 60, you got it for 50, you have no money besides marketing into it. I mean, it's a win-win. 10 grand for a DocuSign, it's pretty simple. But again, it's simple, but it's not easy, right? It does require a lot of work, especially there's a bunch of steps going into it. But I mean, it's so easy to master and you can really make some huge returns. I mean, if you do 3 $10,000 ones a month, that's 30 grand a month that you're making. And if you really put the time and put a little bit of extra money into it, I mean, it can really be a reality. So, but that was the first one I really want to kind of broadly touch on. Certain states have wholesale laws, so there's going to be a bunch that you can't do this in. But there is some loopholes. Illinois is actually one of them. You can wholesale one deal without having your real estate license. But what I recommend is just you can do virtual wholesaling, which is just wholesaling in other states. And the biggest thing I wanted to tell people, because I tell people, hey, invest out of state, be a virtual investor, and they just get all scared. They get nervous. Oh man, I can't drive by it. I can't look at it. I can't, And that's like a big hurdle. I've had so many people like, no, I need to invest in the backyard, where you can do that. But unless you're living in a nice neighborhood, your backyard isn't worth any money. So if it's going to be the same process, whether you make 5 grand, 20 grand, 40 grand, 60 grand, why not go for the bigger fish? It's the same exact process. So keep that in mind while you're searching for a market. Also, you want to invest in markets that have ideally over 400,000 people. And the reason being is because, yes, there's more competition, but I don't want you to look at that. I want you to look at that means there's a lot of buyers. Okay, so the thing with getting a deal is being able to offset that deal, right, and sell that as fast as possible, because you got 30 days typically to close on that wholesale deal. So that means you got 30 days to find a buyer, right? And 10 of those days are going to be caught up with inspections. So, that's a great time to really get actively looking for these. And as you guys ask questions, I'll give you guys some tips of how to actually make that a lot easier. So that's briefly what wholesaling is. Essentially, it's just buying something for cheap, selling it at a higher price. You get what's in the middle, right? So very easy concept to understand. The second one, everybody should be familiar with. This is just buy and hold rentals, okay? So all we're doing is buying properties, acquiring them, whether like you're house hacking or an FHA, and then move out after a year, or if you're simply just conventionally buying them, 20% down and just, buying rentals. So the core principle is the same. You're looking for it to cash flow, but what I want to tell you, and this is the biggest helpful tip I can give you, you're not going to cash flow very much day one, okay? But you need to understand when you're buying rentals, this is not right now money, okay? If you want right now money, you're going to have to do wholesaling, okay? You're going to have to go do some flips, right? That's what's going to really bring in some money now. But if you're looking to park your wealth somewhere, right, 10 to 20%, park it in this investment. The rents are always going to go up. When's the last time, Mary Jean, that you seen that your landlord called you up and said, hey, you know what, Mary Jean, we're lowering the rent this month?
Never.
Right. And it ain't never going to happen, trust me.
No.
I don't care who's in the White House.
And
The
I
rents
heard
are always
you
going up.
comment on that podcast too, and I got to thinking, because we've had a tenant for 2 years now, and we haven't raised it, but we should, because when something goes on, that extra money, it's going. I was thinking of it she's been such a good tenant, like why bother her? She doesn't bother us. Well, we have to, because we don't want to turn into the slumlords.
Exactly.
Where we just don't have the money because we never raised the rent to match, not even property, but like she doesn't pay any utilities. So we're eating a lot of her heat, all of her heat, her water, electricity, everything. Yep. And that's gone up since she's moved in.
That's super important. You got to vet your tenants very well. And you got to make sure that you're raising the rent. Don't do anything more than a 1-year lease. 1-year lease at a time, and be upfront with them. Hey, there is going to be a rental increase every single year. I have to do it. But I promise you, I'm going to be the best landlord you ever had. Any problems you got, I'm there. Okay, but what I can't do is not be receiving rent, and I have to increase the rent, right? Because just like she said, if you hadn't watched that other podcast, I was explaining why that you want to make sure that you raise the rent, because it's a way that I feel like a lot of people turn into accidental slumlords. And it's because they're not raising they're not rising with the cost of inflation. So all their expenses are getting more expensive, but you're still taking in the same amount of rental income that you were 2-3 years ago when stuff was cheaper. So that limits the amount of money that you can set aside in case stuff happens, right? I call it like an oh shit fund. I don't know if I can cuss on Facebook, but sorry, Zuck, if I'm not allowed to. But that's what I call it. Like in case stuff happens, I'm throwing it in this account. Well, when that amount is limited, then I can't come back and fix things, right? I'm going to have to be cheap, right? Or I'm going to have to argue with you hey, you're going to have to do it, man. I haven't raised your rent in 3 years. I really can't take care of anything, right? It's not because you're trying to be a piece of crap. It's because literally there's no money there. I'm not making anything on this thing. So that's the mindset that I go into it with. Same with business. I want to make sure that everybody's being taken care of. But prices do have to go up because things go up. And I can't just eat that cost, because then I'll be out of business. If I go out of business, or if I have to sell this property, you may get a crappy landlord. So to save 60, 70, 80 bucks, you now just lost the best landlord that's going to take care of you, that's always going to be there for you, for 60 bucks. You know, it's like, come on, man, you should be getting a raise, you know, wherever you're working for $60, you know. So that's just something, a little gem. Also, if you are looking to get into rentals, here's a cute tip I got from my mentor. And it was, how many people, and MJ, let me know if this happened to you. Have you ever went to like go look at a new apartment or a new house to rent, and they met you at the place, like at the rental or at the house?
Yeah.
All right. So the mentor, this is what he told me. He said, your first visit should be at their house.
Mm.
And why should we meet at their house? And it's because I can see how they're living. Okay. If they're a hoarder right now, they're going to be a hoarder in my house. Right.
Mm.
If they're dirty now, they're going to be dirty at my house too. Right. And we're not judging. I'm just taking in data to see, hey, is this a good tenant? Right. Just like if I would be vetting an employee, I vet my tenants the same way, right? I want a good quality person. I'm going to put good stuff in here. I'm going to be great to you. I'm going to fix everything on time, every time. Never going to have to worry about it. But in return, I need you to be a good tenant. So that's all the thing I'm looking for. And yeah, so that's a great hack to do. I make sure my property manager does it. And it's never burned us so far, you know. Obviously, some people change, but how many times I hear all these horror stories of, man, she had a boyfriend I didn't know about, 3 pit bulls. She said she had no animals. If you went over the house, you would have smelled the dog. There would have been signs of a dog. You would have been picking up on these telltale signs to see, one, are they honest? And if they're not honest, then do you really want to rent to them, right? And if they're just been misleading or something like that, you're going to be able to identify a lot of that. Now, it's not going to work all the time, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a really, really good consensus of what's going on. So that was a great hack.
A lot of sense. I've joked about that when it comes to hiring staff members. I don't want to see your house. I want to see your car. Because I swear the best cleaners, like even myself, my car is spotless. My detailer jokes like, Mary Jean, you have 4 kids. Like, I don't understand how your car looks like this. But like how you just said, like you want to see your tenant's house. Yep. I've always said, like, I want to see the staff's car.
Right.
But no, that's an awesome point. Because, yeah, you don't know how people are really going to be living in your homes. Yep. That's crazy. Yep. I wonder if people have ever been, like, hesitant to, and if they're hesitant to have you, I would have no problem if any landlord was like, hey, I want to come. I would love for them to come over. Right. See my beautiful house, how I keep it, you know? But yeah,
they may lower the rent, they see that house.
They probably would. Yeah, if they knew how. Right. And I know Justin's watching, but yeah, he knows how we keep this house. Right. And yeah, right. They would probably lower the rent.
Oh, man, this is my new property manager and everything.
Like, are you sure there's 6 of you here?
Right.
But yeah, if they're hesitant, it's probably because they live like, you know. Exactly. Yeah. So that's wow.
Yeah, it was a great tip. I was like, I never thought about it, but it is so like, it makes so much sense, but it's just like, wow, I never even thought about that. So that's the power of proximity, right? Is that you get around these certain people, they have you thinking different. They're aggravating certain thoughts and conversations and discussions that normally you wouldn't be able to have, you know. So
no, I don't think many of my friends would have thought to say anything to me like that. So yeah, that's. I always knew there was something there with the car, but right. Never thought about it for houses. And I joke because I always thought like, oh, I wish I could come see, like, because I always get upset about the pet fee. And I'm right. Like, man, if they could just see how my house is and how I am with the dog, they wouldn't want to charge me. Like, they would think they don't need to. Right. You know, like, I mean, I don't think you can even smell. You'll hear her bark, but you won't smell her in my house.
But just remember, the exception isn't the majority. So yeah, they have to have that policy in place because exactly. So many people, oh, no, I don't have any dogs. I mean, there was one time in my life where we were doing the thing, you know, I was a kid, and when the landlord came around, we hired the dog and put my hand over his mouth so he wouldn't bark, you know. So, I mean, I know from experience it happens.
Yeah, for sure.
But you can't deny it if you go to someone's house. I mean, you're gonna smell it, or you're at least gonna smell the masking of it, because they do have a specific smell. So at least we'll be able to determine if they got some kind of animal, or you see like little toys laying around or something. There'll be telltale signs. So, and if somebody gets over it on you, then hey, you got them for a year, and then they're out. And that's the beauty of just doing yearly leases. And then you can do month to month after the first year. But I like to put them on a year, lock them in, let them know I got a tent. I want to contractually have an agreement with you so that, you know, at least you're willing to ride it out with me for a year, you know. So if I'm going to invest in you, I expect just in the investment of, hey, you know, stay here, and, you know, if there's anything I can do to make this a better living conditions for you or anything like that, please let me know. If there's ever any problems, please let me know as soon as you see it. I will get it rectified. I'm not going to sit around and, you know, have you out here bad. So,
You know, there's like a thing I want to bring up because I know this is a huge controversy is the cost of rent these days. And when I think of it, I don't get upset when I see these houses for more for rent because it's like taxes are a lot more, interest on houses are a lot more. Like from an investor standpoint, how do you feel about these higher rents? Or like, what are your thoughts? I saw a house pop up 1,500 for 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. To me, that's not bad.
right.
But then like everyone's commenting, going crazy on it. I'm like, that's really not that bad.
Right. Yeah, it's honestly, the problem is at one, you need to do smart investing, because some people need to know what markets they can fetch higher rent. So if you do your market research and if you do your homework, you're going to realize, well, it's $1,500 a common rent around here. If the common rent and the most average rental price around the area is $1,100 to $1,200, well, then 15 is going to be harder to get off. Granted, you are going to attract maybe a higher qualified tenant because it's a more expensive rate. So that could be the benefit, but just kind of doing some market research. I was actually talking to my partner Marty today about it and looking at some houses in some different markets just because of the spreads higher, right? I typically don't love to invest or like flip anything that's like sub 300,000. And the reason is because sometimes those numbers can scare people. But for me, it's, if I'm going to do all the same work, the process is exactly the same, whether the house is $1 million or if it's $10. So why make less money for doing the same thing? I might as well just go to a different market, get better in that market, get smarter in the market, learn the market, build relationships in the market. And now it's easy, and it's easy, just as easy as I would have made the 10 grand or the 7,500 or whatever it was, you know? So I think that's super important. And to answer, you know, to circle back on your question with the rent, people just got to understand this person had to take all the risk of buying this rental property. Now he has to pay taxes, insurance, put stuff aside in case anything goes wrong with this property so that he can, you know, address the situation. And then put some little profit in there if he can squeeze it, you know, all while keeping you happy, all while, you know, analyzing all these different tenants, managing these rentals. I mean, I'm not saying it's a super hard job, but, you know, you got to understand just from a logical standpoint, why would anybody get in a business that they're making zero money and only losing money? I mean, you know, that's why I dealt with a lot of people in foreclosure and helped people through that process, right? And everybody wanted to stay in the house, right? And like I would tell them, they'd say, hey, just let me rent the house back from you after you buy it, blah, blah, blah. I want to stay here. And I would always tell them, if you can't afford the mortgage, how are you going to afford rent?
Right.
Because the mortgage is the base. That's my base price. Everything other than that, all my expenses, my CapEx, taxes, my insurance, my vacancy, all that stuff has to be accounted for. So how, if you couldn't pay the lower amount, are you going to pay the higher amount?
Yeah, exactly.
And how long is it going to last when you're used to paying $1,200 and now you're paying $1,650 for the same exact house?
Yeah.
So I never do a rent backs like that. I don't believe in it. I will, you know, I will buy and inherit tenants, but I want to make sure that that lease is like getting ready to come up, and that they know as soon as you come out, I will be making some adjustments to the property and the rent will be going up.
Yeah.
So just giving you ample time. So
I think when I see a lot of that going on, it's one, they're probably not business owners and they don't understand the overhead expenses that comes into rental properties is a business, you know, like the overhead. Like not only did they buy the house, right? They, like you just said, they have all that overhead. And half of me, I get like, I'll never get on Facebook and argue with anyone. That's like totally 10 years ago. And I want to be like, then go buy a house.
Right.
If you don't like it, go buy a house. But anyway, I was curious on your perspective. I thought it was the same as mine. As the overhead. Like it's just, there's a mortgage, right? And then there's overhead. And he's not going to do all that work and not make any money.
Right. Or, there's a flip side to the coin, because it's like you complain about people, they beautify the neighborhood, they're improving these, they're taking all this risk and spending all this money to make this nice house on your block and in your community. And then you're saying, oh, well, your rent is too high. Okay, well, then I do a shitty rehab, leave these pieces of shit house on your block, and then you're pissed that your house valuation is going down. Like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You got to pick one. Do you
And
want
you
better
get bad
neighbors?
renters.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, be careful what you ask for.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know. It makes me like, I see it and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why even comment anything? And two, let's really think about it, people.
Right.
Like, let's really think about it, you know?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. There probably are a lot of people that own the houses free and clear. They've had the house for 30 years. They haven't made any updates,
Right.
and they're taking advantage.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're out there.
Oh,
but
yeah.
the majority of the time, like, especially these newer investors, like, they're getting these high interest rates. What do you expect from them?
Yeah.
They have to make money. So.
And right now it's horrible for cash flow. You know, there's not a lot of houses that you can buy right now, unless you're buying on creative finance, that you can actually cash flow. You know, so a lot of investors right now, they're literally just breaking even. So it's not like people are getting rich. It's like, we're going to have to wait to get our money 10 years from now. So just imagine you went to your job and said, hey, I'm going to work for the next 10 years and just pay me then. You know,
No.
that's the risk that we're willing to take and we're willing to onset, because we're saying, hey, you know what? We trust the process. We know that real estate does appreciate. We know that rents always go up, right? And on average, prices go up about 3% a year. So in 10 years, it'll at least be worth 30%. And that's just at a national lowest average, right? Being super conservative. So it could bump up, right? So it's like, if we got to wait 10 years to get paid, please don't complain about the $200 that we're making, if that. Because a lot of times these people aren't making money, but they are taking those risks so you can have better neighbors, better communities. And that's why we want to invest out here. Like, I do not buy rentals in Illinois because it's not landlord friendly, right? I don't invest in blue states with buying holds unless it's like large multifamily, right? Because then you can really make some good money and good ROIs on those. But as far as that, I'm in the red states investing for rentals. The only reason I'm even flipping out here is just because, hey, I want to see some better houses. I don't want people to come to our town and like, hey, this is where I grew up, and we're driving by and it looks like Detroit.
Yeah.
You know, like, I want this place to look nice. I want to be proud of the community and everybody that's in it. We got a lot of great people out here, a lot of great businesses. So when these new companies come in, I want them to be attracted to the area, so they want to bring their businesses here. So now guess what? Now the rentals go up. Now the houses are worth flipping, you know, so it's a trickle down effect. So beautify the neighborhood, attract better businesses, attract growth, and then your returns are going to go through the roof.
Yeah, I went to a landlord and tenant, like, I can't remember what the name of it was, but my realtor friend invited me because she knew I was in that business of Airbnbs and rentals and managing people's rentals. Tenants have in Illinois way more rights than the landlord. Like, It was sitting there listening to tenants' rights and landlord rights. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and I've watched the people that I've worked with go through that. People sitting in their homes for 6, 7, 8 months, not paying rent, standing at the front door and being like, what are you going to do about it?
It's crazy.
You know me, I'm like, I'll go. Blah, blah, blah. And Justin's like, you'll go to jail.
Right.
They won't, but you'll go to jail. But yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Sitting there, I was like, this is nuts. How they have more rights than landlords.
California is even worse.
Oh, I bet.
It's crazy over there.
And we even said too, like, we're glad we bought Tonica. We bought the Tonica house during like COVID, like right before COVID. So we got like a low. Perfect. If we were to buy that right now, we'd probably have to go live in it.
Right. Yeah.
It wouldn't be an Airbnb. It wouldn't be a half Airbnb, half rental. And we'd probably have to live in the guest house, not the main house.
Like, damn, we're back again.
We're going to put some beds in the basement.
Right.
Which I wish we would have stayed there longer and finished that basement at the mother-in-law suite. Because that could have been,
additional income there.
Yeah.
Extra square footage.
Like, instead of one person renting it, a family,
Oh, yeah.
Anyway. I don't know if you had more to go
on. Awesome. Yeah, so as far as wholesaling, that's pretty much what I got for you. like I said, I want to keep it broad so that you guys are able to ask questions and really dig deeper into topics. But I don't want to bore you just throwing out a lot of information there and nothing sticking. So I'm going to move on and let Mary Jean kind of take over. And remember, stay tuned. I got a strategy with a great return for those that stick around, for those that wait. I got you. So let you take over, MJ.
So I'm going to go over just a little bit of sales. I love sales. There's like the old way of selling, which is probably how a lot of people have been taught, especially when you go to like car salesmen's or whatever. There's that old way of selling, right? But now there's this new way where it's more on persuasion, identity frame. When I learned identity frame, that's like my favorite way to sell now, because it's how the prospect perceives themselves. So if you can tap into that, they're more likely to buy. But all
And for those, I know what you're talking about, but for those that don't, can you break that down and just go into a little bit more detail or give an example of like one of those situations?
Like an identity frame?
Yeah, like
Yeah, okay.
Using that in regards to a potential client,
Yeah.
just so that they can kind of get an idea of what that looks like.
So I'll use it in the life insurance terms. That's how I understand it the best. I probably could use it in other aspects, but that's my expertise. So when I'm on the phone with a client and, I'm asking them, what got you looking at life insurance in the first place? That's like, you want to know their why, right? And they're like, oh, well, I don't want my kids to have to pay for it. And then you want to clarify, like, oh, so can they pay for it? And you just don't want them to, or would it be like difficult on them? And they're like, no, I don't, they could pay for it, but I do not want them to pay for it, right? Okay, and where does that way of thinking come from, right? So you're wanting to know their thought process. And then they'll say, well, my dad this or XYZ that, that's how my dad was, that's how my mother was. And then you just hit them with, obviously, in regards to life insurance, that is a very, they're not going to benefit off of it, right?
Right.
So they're buying it because they're a certain type of human. You are going to spend this money for all these years and not benefit. It's going to be left, right? So you want to hit them with, you're like taking the focus off you and putting it onto them, and you're going to hit their identity. So when I say identity, it's how do they view themselves? And in that regard, it'd be, I'll just give my little, what I say on the phone with someone is, that's what I love about my job is, sitting down and talking with someone with you. Everyone loves their family, but not everyone's willing to, sit down, talk about death and like, pay the money and XYZ. It's kind of hard because I'm not role playing.
Right.
But, and they're going to be like, blah, blah, blah. And then you'll ask, like, how come this is so important to you, though? So at the end of when you're hitting their identity, it's kind of hard to explain. So I might be going like,
you're doing great.
Yeah.
And what I want you guys to really pay attention to is she didn't just take the surface level answer, right? They said, oh, why do you want life insurance? Oh, to give to my kids so they don't have to pay for anything. She didn't just stop at that, right? Because that's so surface level. That's like a blanket statement. She dug in. Why is that important to you? Because we really want to find their why, just like what we talked about in previous posts about uncovering the why, the 7 layers of why, really uncovering the true motivation. So just like we have true motivation towards our own goals, these people have true motivation that they don't just give out to anybody. We got to break down those barriers. So I think you did a great job. That's a great example of how you start peeling back the layers to figure out exactly what really means most to them. And then you create the policy according to that, instead of just, oh, you just want something for your kids? All right, cool, let's max you out and do all this. Well, maybe that's not the best solution. And by asking those probing questions, you understand and start to unravel the truth. So exactly. I love it.
Yeah, and then like when it comes to, so you're gonna like build them up how they perceive themselves. So when it comes to objection handling, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, and they try to say, oh, well, I got to think about it. One, that's because you didn't cause enough urgency or you didn't dive deep into it. So that's a whole nother topic. I have never focused on objection handling until recently, probably because you're going to get them regardless. And when I would get them every so often, I would just be like, okay, I'll call you in a week. Because I don't like objection handling, but you got to do
Right.
it because you're doing them a disservice. And
Exactly.
I actually just watched someone objection handle the other day, and I was like, wow, she's just shooting her shot. Almost like how, we kind of talk about it a lot in like boyfriend or girl and boy terms. Like, she's just shooting her shot, and she don't care if she misses. And maybe, like, what is there to lose?
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
But that's probably why I don't like objection handling, because it's just, I don't know, icky.
Right.
But yeah, identity frame is like my favorite way to sell now. Instead of just, there was like a recent study where it's like, what do salespeople do that like the prospect can't stand, and it's they talk too much.
Right.
No one's really uncovering. No one cares about your product. All right.
Right.
No one cares. They don't care about your this or your that or your reviews or your this or your that. What can your product solve for them? Like
Right.
how is it going to benefit them? So when you find that reason and that why, that's why they buy. And if they'll buy from someone they truly feels, understands them, and gets what they want,
Exactly.
So
And you'll never understand that until you actually start trying to uncover it and being intentional. So yeah, it's powerful. This stuff sounds crazy, folks, but I mean, it truly works. This is high level training, sales training stuff. It's working with sales psychology, understanding how the human mind works,
yes.
and how we buy, as humans, and what makes us buy. And so, yeah, there's a lot of persuasion techniques that you can use, and it's not like don't use this for bad, obviously, right? We're using this to good. We're using these tools to really help people, right? And so I just want to put that disclaimer out there because unfortunately it can be used for the wrong thing,
Yes. Yeah. Also, Chase Hughes is a really good guy that he was a behavior expert for like the military, right? And he does a lot on like persuasion, influence, behavior analyst, right? And his background is in military, and he was like negotiator, like working with terrorists, and now he uses those skills in sales.
Right.
And there's actually there's a course that he has, right? It's $2. Go buy that course it used to be free.
$2.
Then they start, it's $2. And it'll teach you so much about the power of authority, because now I use a lot of authority in my sales. Yes, I'm your friend, but I'm also the authority here, right? So authority, persuasion, but just that if you can build that authority to people. There was an experiment, and I can't think of the experiment that he refers to, but it's in the course, and if you Google it, it'll Chase Hughes experiment on persuasion in a lab, but a guy in a lab coat.
Can you drop that link after we're done here and drop it in the comments for everybody?
Yes.
And if you ain't got $2, hit me up. I will cash app you the $2.
Yeah.
Get this dang thing, because sales and marketing is the two highest paying professions. Anybody can do it, and the great thing is you can do it from anywhere. So
and
you ain't got the
$2,
hit me up.
Yeah, and literally everything is sales.
Right.
If you own a business, you're a salesman. If you have children, you're in sales. I use a lot of that, persuasion. And all sales is change.
Yep.
Just getting them to, what can you do that'll change the situation that they're in, and just discovering the why. But I will definitely, Chase Hughes will also have you looking at yourself different, and a lot of people around you, because he'll dive deep into why people are the way they are, pick up on certain words. You can be in a sales conversation, and by just certain words that they say, you'll flip how you communicate with them and how you sell to that person.
Right.
You got to be a chameleon. And I think I just heard Hermione's wife talk about that today.
Oh yeah, Alex Hermione's wife, Layla.
Yeah, being like a chameleon, because you have to talk to certain people certain ways.
Yeah.
And knowing how humans work is so huge, not only in life, in sales, but even when you're a leader, right, and you're leading people, right.
That's one of the many benefits, I think, that, even though I went through all that trouble and got and did all that time, I think that's the skill that I really built. Like, so that's why I even thank God for that period, because without that period, I wouldn't have that ability to talk to anybody. I could talk to old people in authority, people, of less authority, people smarter, people dumber than me. Like, I really got good at talking to people. So, you know, I'm thankful for that process and that trial that I had to go through to get to where I'm at. And yeah, talking to people is huge. And like you said, you're selling yourself every day.
Yeah.
I had a mentor of mine. He told me this thing, and it was pretty funny, but it's true. And then I was like, you know, when I first got started in business, I was like, you know, how do I vet my employees, you know, and really kind of, you know that I'm getting a solid one, you know? And he said, you need to audit the interview. How good were they? And I was like, what? And he's like, you know, the people that are best at interviews, that means they've been through a lot of them. The people that are stumbling and mumbling and you know, murmuring over their words and fumbling and nervous and sweating, they haven't been in many. That means they've been a loyal employee. If these people have mastered the interview process, they're probably been jumping job to job to job.
That is
So
so funny that you say that, because like I didn't do a lot of jumping around when I started in the workforce, and I sucked at interviews. And they call me like, "You're hired," and I'm like, "I'm hired."
right,
I know that interview was crap. I am not
right.
good at it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. Super cool.
oh yeah.
But as far as sales, I can go so deep on it. There's like 6 different processes or 6 different steps to the sales process: connection, situation, problem awareness, consequence, and then
Take notes, y'all. Be taking notes. I hope y'all taking notes.
transition and present. And each phase will take you down that sales process. I don't know if you guys know of 7th level. I did go through 7th level, Jeremy Minor. If you're in sales and you're doing a lot in sales, I wouldn't be shocked if you don't know who he is or have seen any of his content. Not saying you have to buy his course. I did go through 2 of them. But I actually know a guy, he just watched YouTube videos and reels over and over and over, and he is a huge producer. He was in life insurance, now he's selling something else. But you can take what Jeremy Minor teaches in 7th level and the little skills that I know as well from being in there, and you can go from industry to industry. I've seen people
Right.
do it time and time again. You're just switching a few words. But I love
And
sales.
the key here is that MJ could have did the YouTube route. She could have watched as many YouTubes and reels as possible. But I don't. If you're comfortable with sharing, tell them how much you paid for the course.
Yeah, it was $15,000.
And did you just have 15,000 is laying around? And you're like, oh, now I'll just rip this out of the bottom of my mattress and give it to this guy, or what?
No, it was funny. I spent like $3,000 to go to an in-person meetup, and I didn't really. The reason to go to the in-person meetup is I wanted to get close to certain people. Is now who I work with insurance, Caden Sanchez. I wanted to get close to him.
And not to
And
cut you off, hold on one second, because I don't want that to go over people's head.
yeah,
She paid $3,000 to be in the room with the right people. She didn't go there to learn the course. She didn't go there to get motivated. She got in the room because how many people have $3,000 to go to a networking event? That's the kind of people that are investing in themselves. That's the kind of circle you want to be around. So I just didn't want that to glaze over because it's
yeah,
so important to invest. I was joking around and I was telling Marty today, like, I will pay for friendships.
yeah,
I
yes.
will.
I
You
know.
know, I want
Those
to
are
get
the
the cheat
best
code.
friendships because they
Right.
have to be loyal because you paid them. No.
Right. So, yeah, so I'm out here buying friendships. So
Yeah,
if you know some good friends, let me know.
yeah. So I was in a smaller course at first, and then they reeled out that in-person meetup, and I really just wanted to go to be around certain people and to learn from them. And I met Caden, and I had seen Caden online, and he is go look him up as well on Instagram, Caden Sanchez, beast in sales. He teaches a lot of it. But no, for the 15,000, I had to put it on multiple credit cards. I did. Uh, oh gosh, how many different ones did I put it on? I laughed because Caden did it the same way. Because Caden saw me outside and he's like, "You look like you're like overthinking things. Like what's up?" And I was like, my husband was working a job that he made awesome money at. He just quit it to become self-employed. That's just a lot of money. And he goes, "Oh
Right.
no, I know." He's like, "I think I had to put on like 3 or 4 credit cards when I did it." And I'm like, that's what I'm gonna have to do right now. Like I don't have $15,000 laying around. And I think I put on 5 because we joked about it. I'm like, "Oh, I had to put on more than you." That's where about half of my debt came from, and I'm working it down now. But worth every penny.
Oh, yeah.
Just being in that environment and being able to be around certain people and the things I learned. Um, to be in insurance for just 1 year now, a lot of people don't make it out of their first year, and to be one of the top producers, I know that has a lot to do with what I learned with seventh level in Caden. So um,
That's
yeah.
so powerful. She, no excuses. Okay. She didn't know how to do it, so she paid to get in the room. She got in the room and realized she needed something extra. And she didn't even have the money. But she said, you know what? I am so committed. I'm so dedicated to changing my life that I will invest money, $15,000 that I don't even have. But I found a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
That that is what makes you special. That's what makes you successful. That kind of commitment, that kind of self-belief, right? And I'm sure it was stressful as hell. Probably one of the most stressful things you had to do.
Sweating. My palms were sweating. I was hot. I was like, I think I called Justin. I'm like, I think I'm going to throw up. But I was so excited, like so excited. Like the course that I paid $3,000 for when I started was just a basic generic course. There was like 500 or not 500. There's like 100 people in the lives. I couldn't get my question or the Zooms. Couldn't get my questions in. Everyone's just taking up all the time, and I'm getting like pissed off. I'm like,
Right.
God, I want to ask a question. I want to role play, but you just couldn't because you didn't pay enough.
Right.
So then Inner Circle, there was like 3 levels. So I went from the very basic level up to the top level. And Inner Circle had like 5, maybe 15 people at a time on their Zooms and whatnot. But
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I've been in those myself, man. I've been Pace Morby got a huge group and just even getting noticed in there. But what I learned is that the value isn't in the video I'm watching. I can go back and watch that later. The value is in the live chat, like interacting with all these people in the chat that are doing the thing, that are part of the process. Even if they're not where I want to be, yeah, I'm around people that want to be greater, you know, and just networking in the chat helped me and built all my relationships that I had in the real estate community out of the chats. Never came from posting, never came from getting on a live with Pace or anything like that. It all came from those live chats, building those relationships, trying to be helpful. And yeah, so the power of proximity at work again. And, you know, shout outs to you for taking that chance. That's, you know, big leap, but I know for sure that that thing is going to pay tenfold and be one of the best decisions you ever made. So some of your favorite gurus, Jeremy Miner trained them. So that's just the kind of level of sales training that he has. So he's a real
I'm
deal.
pretty sure he works with Pace Morby in some way.
Yeah.
Jeremy Miner.
I think they're connected. Yep.
Yeah,
sure.
in the real estate. But yeah, Jeremy Miner is obsessed, like just obsessed with sales, like obsessed.
Right.
And he is like just to learn from him. I remember him coming up to me at the event, and I was like, "Well, I'm nervous."
Were your palms sweaty?
Yeah, Caden was here, and I thought I still think Caden's like a god in sales. Caden's here, Jeremy Miner's here. They're both talking to me like hands on hands, like doing the script, like rewriting my script, and I'm like, I couldn't really focus. I felt like I've never been big on celebrities. I don't know. I don't have like a favorite celebrity, right? Because I always felt like celebrities don't do anything for me. But that to me was like celebrity.
Were you fangirling it?
A little fangirl, yeah. There was a bunch of fanboys, don't you know?
All right. Oh yeah.
Yeah, just to be, I don't know. It was an awesome experience. My first ever in-person event, worth every penny.
And a lot of those guys, they just have that presence, right? Is that you want to be around them. You just want to be in their vicinity. You want to, you know, be close to their campfire, right? It's like getting warmed up by their kind of the energy that they're radiating and the frequency that they're operating at is, so I totally get it. I never really fanboyed out, but I was definitely like, I was just overwhelmed with the sense like of gratitude for real. Like, I can't believe that I'm standing next to a guy that's worth hundreds and hundreds of $1 million.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was possible to obtain. I thought it was a fairy tale, some made up stat on, you know, fake news, you know. But to be standing next to a guy that acts normal, he's not like pompous and super arrogant. It's just like, wow, like how grateful am I to be in this be in the room with this man and to be able to learn from him. So
Yeah.
I totally get what you're, get what you're saying. And it's those networking events are huge. I highly recommend it. Go to as many as you can. And once you go to one, you're never going to want to go again. To not go, you're going to try to make all of them.
Yeah, it's super, super, super cool. But yeah, that's my little thing on sales. I could go on for hours. If you have any questions about sales, definitely let us know in the chat. It's just a whole new way of selling.
Yeah. And truly just leading from the heart, right?
Yes.
Putting people over profit, solving problems, not creating them. It's huge, huge a business. And no matter what industry you're in, it's going to be a small niche of people, right? And word travels fast. So that's good or bad. We all know that bad news travels even faster. So
Yeah.
make sure that you're doing right by people.
Absolutely. To touch on that, there was about 30 people within Caden's organization when I joined him. And they all wanted to learn the script perfectly. They wanted to train. And I really wouldn't do that. I looked at the script. I led with, and he would bring it up. He's like, Mary Jane's not bad at sales. Like, she's not bad. Is she like a god in sales? No, she hardly knows the damn script, guys. What Mary Jane leads with is conviction, and you can hear it in her voice. She truly wants to help these people and help solve their problem. I don't care how good you are at sales. If they can pick up on whether you truly care and whether you're actually there to like find. I've turned people away. They've wanted to buy from me. I just had a guy the other day. He wanted to get this policy, and I was like, no, what I have is not the best for you, and what you currently have is better. Like it,
Right.
but he wanted to buy it just because, for me, I guess, I don't know.
Right.
But I was like, no, like no. I'm telling you from my professional opinion, you need to keep what you have. This is not good for you. But they can sense that no matter how good you are at sales, they know whether you're really doing it from the heart. And
I think that's a big difference. And I kind of touched on it on that podcast that I did with Zach, and that in sales, you don't want to be an order taker.
Yep.
Go there as a professional and guide your client to the best solution instead of just, oh, that's what you want. Oh, well, what they think they want may not be the best alternative for them. It's not about trying to sell them or finesse them or upsell them. It's about, I know that problem isn't going to serve you how you're expecting it to be served, but this solution will, and help guiding them instead of just taking the order, taking the money, and then, who cares what happens. And that's been one thing that I've been huge in our business is we used to sell wood fences with wooden posts. Well, the more I dug into it, I was like, dude, these posts are going to rot. They got 8 to 10 year lifespan on how much impact this person is a buyer intended for. We are selling them a product that they're going to have to replace. It's going to become decrepit and stuff like that. So we completely changed how we did business. And we said, if you're not going to put a steel post in, we're walking away from the job. But if you're not willing to do it right, you're going to, you're not going to be happy with the result. And I know that. I know it's not going to last. And I can't make you an empty promise.
Yeah.
And also, and on the same token is that when that fence starts to look like crap and starts falling down, my sign is on it. So now my legacy is on the line. They're not going to stop and ask you and knock on the door and say, hey, were you just being cheap or do they do shitty work? They're going to say, okay, I see that crappy fence. It has their name on it. Well, I'm not hiring that guy.
Yep.
And none of it was my fault, except that I didn't guide the client to the best solution. They should not be buying that because the only thing more expensive than buying a fence is buying two. So keep that in mind when you're selling. Don't create problems for your clients later down the road just to put a Band-Aid on one now.
And I will touch on that as well. Do not lower your price for people.
Oh, yeah.
Your price
Absolutely.
is what and Mun taught me this. Like, I've always been, I'm more expensive than a lot of the cleaning companies, right? One, because we're a company and those are just cleaning ladies and we're a company. So we're going to be more expensive every time.
Right.
But we have a policy. If you are not happy with your service, me personally or someone that works for me will be out there within 24 to 48 hours to fix that. And no, we are not going to charge you. It's built into our price. I learned that from Mun. And when you start lowering your price to fit in a box, now I have lowered my price for certain contracts because it was well worth it. Okay, don't get me wrong. And there was some negotiation. I've been there. But that's a little bit different. When they're trying to get you to do less than you know you're worth, you are not going to go out and fulfill that job to your full potential because you're going to feel like I'm not getting paid what I'm worth, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I would recommend your price is your price. Unless you're negotiating hundreds, $200,000 contracts, I wouldn't lower anything.
And that ties right into what we were just talking about with the landlord.
Yeah.
Like, just like they are forced into being slumlords, you're forcing me to be a shady contractor.
Yeah.
Because if you only want the cheapest bid and I have to continue to lower my price, the only thing that's going to suffer is the labor.
Yes.
Right? I can't control the price of the materials. So now the labor is going to suffer. That means my guys are either rushing, right, or doing subpar work. They're taking shortcuts.
Yep.
Now safety is jeopardized as well as quality. So you're actually doing them a disservice by accepting a lower price.
Yes.
And that's when you're providing that kind of value, that's what you need to be thinking about. And that's where you need to be selling from, is that point. Like, if you don't hire me in no cocky way, you are settling for less. Because what I'm going to do for you, how I'm going to stand behind this product for you, you're not going to get anywhere else. Mm-hmm. So if you go somewhere else, I feel bad for you. I wish you the luck. I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah.
But you just screwed yourself.
Yeah. And I have found the ones that do want to bring you down are the worst people to deal with anyway. So save your guys is the headache. Your price is your price. You don't see people in life insurance. It's take it or leave it. You know, they're not lowering your price for anybody. Take it, leave it, go somewhere else. We don't care. But yeah, those are the worst people to deal with anyway.
Me and Marty were just talking about it. Literally, as we were restructuring our New Year's plan, is that we're not even going to promote the other fence products that we do besides vinyl. And we're not going to promote wooden decks. Are we going to do it? Yes. But we want to attract the right client. Yes. Okay. And the person that's trying to get the cheapest bid and just the absolute cheapest, we know that that's a need out there, and we'll still help you. But I don't want to promote to those people, because every single client that I've ever had that spent 10, 20, 40, 60, 80 grand on projects, I've never had a callback. I never had a discrepancy about invoice. They paid right on time, right? Yep. Every single thing was so flawless. It was the people that I went above and beyond for and did extra stuff and broke my own policy to help these people and give them a discount. They were my worst clients ever.
Literally. I know.
It is the worst thing to do. It will kill, it'll stress you out and everything like that. And you don't even have any justification that it was worth it, because no, literally you got less money to be more stressed out and more worried. So, and those are the people that are like evil and bitter and want to like ruin companies. If one mistake happens, just stay away from them. You know, there's a place for those people. And like I said, I'm not trying to crap on anybody. It's just, in my experience in business, the cheapest clients are the hardest to deal with and the hardest to please. So,
because then you're, you know, and I'll bring this back into an experience. We had a lady that wanted a deep clean, right? And I was like, told her the price, and she said, I can't afford a deep clean. And I, you know, should have just left it at that. But I'm like, well, you know, she's like, what about a general clean? I'm like, well, we can do a general clean. That's fine. Oh my God. Like, she told another cleaning business that we did a horrible deep clean. And I knew the other cleaning girl, the cleaning lady. And she let me know. And I was like, that's funny. I was like, we didn't do a deep clean. So you see what I'm saying? Like, we never go in without doing a deep clean first. And I broke that rule because she's like, I can't afford much. I'm like, well, we can do a general clean then, you know?
Yep.
And anyway, yeah, she like smeared my name to another cleaning company. I knew the lady. She called me right away. And she did want us to come back. And I told her no. I said, nope, we're firing you as a client.
It's okay to fire clients. Yep.
Yes, it's okay to fire clients. But yeah, I told her we wouldn't be coming back in 2 weeks once I heard that she had said that. But yeah, I broke policy by not doing a deep clean first, lowered the price for the general clean just to help her out, just for her to talk bad about me to another cleaning lady.
Crazy.
Crazy. And you're on our schedule in 2 weeks. Like, you think we're coming back, lady? Heck no.
Right. Yeah. That's the benefit of being your own boss, is that you can pick the people you do business with.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying you need to be acting like you're holier than thou, but if someone, you can already pick up on that kind of energy and people don't see your worth, that they want to talk you down, Like they've never walked in Walmart and asked for a price reduction. They've never went to their favorite stores. They never went to Starbucks and say, "Come on, man, give it to me for $2.50." You
Yeah.
know, it's like, no, you're not talking anybody else down but local business owners. These are the people that are like donating to, children and to, softball teams and all this stuff, and it's supporting the community. And this is who you want to lose. This is who you want to shortcome. It's like, wow, like even with friends, all friends, like the first thing your friend opens up a clothing business. What do you, hey man, let me get something for the
We
low.
get the friend
What?
discount. Yeah.
Why would you want to pay the absolute lowest price? I'm your friend. You should want me to.
Pay
You should
more.
want to pay over the price
Exactly.
and tag everybody in it and leave me a review. Like, what the heck are we doing here?
And that's
So,
crazy because I just had that conversation too, where a stranger will be more receptive to help you out than your own family and friends. I needed help with the life insurance, right? And I needed to write an application before XYZ could happen. And I call my cousin, right? Question after question after question after question. I need the company's name. Send me an email. Do me this, do me that. I call a guy that I do business with, and he said, all right, you got all my information. Go ahead. Didn't even ask me the company's name. Just said, do whatever. Because I told him, I'm like, even if it's $6, like it's just $6 a month.
right.
He's like, okay. He said, you have all my info.
Right.
I manage his Airbnbs. Go ahead, Mary Jean. And I'm like, and my own damn cousin wanted crazy. But
Similar quote too is that I've heard as well is that a stranger will become a client far faster than a friend will. So and I don't want this to come off like we're bashing anybody. And please, I just want to give you guys some insights of when you're in business to be conservative about who you work with. Vet those people. It's okay to audit your clients, and then it's your job as a business owner to attract the right clients, right? So you got to identify your ideal client profile and then market strategically, strictly to them, right? So I want a higher end client. I got to market higher end material to higher end demographics to a higher income bracket, right, et cetera. So there's plans that I need to make once I find out who my ideal client is. So if you don't know who your ideal client is and you're running a business right now, that means you're not tracking it or you're not going over the data that is being tracked. So get in tune with that stuff. It's just as important as collecting checks, balancing your books and all that stuff. That's really how you're going to see and identify the business health, and how healthy your business is and how profitable, So just some key tips. But I don't want to get too far off subject, and I don't want this to run over to 2 hours. But so as a reward, just like promised, I'm going to give you guys the last tip. Very, very, very safe investment here. This is some true game. And if you haven't heard about it, now this is going to be a game-changing moment in your life if you decide to go here. And it's called tax deed investing. Okay? And for anybody wondering what tax deed investing is, it is when someone falls behind on their taxes. Okay? So what happens is a lien comes, right? A lien is placed on the property for the balance of the taxes. So people get 1-2 years, whatever the case may be, haven't paid their taxes. Well, what will happen is they'll go to an auction and you can bid on these properties, right? So what you do is you bid on the debt. So say if they owe $5,000 in back taxes, you will bid to buy the debt from the county, right? So you owe a couple grand. I'm going to say, you know what? I will buy that $5,000 for 12% interest, right? Because it's all about the interest rate, and that's what you're bidding on. Okay, whoever gets the lowest interest rate wins the bid. So the more profitable or better deal it is, you can get a little bit lower interest rate because of the property and the condition is more sought out, because of the valuation. But this is the cool thing, right? So not only do you buy this debt, right? Now these people are indebted to you. So they need to pay you back or you could foreclose on the property, which means if you paid $5,000 and the house is worth $100,000 and these people do not satisfy that debt and they have to pay you, and that percentage I was talking about was interest. So if you can get this debt and buy this debt at 18% and win the debt, you can be getting 18% interest on your money. So they have to pay all that back plus everything that you paid if they satisfy that tax lien. If they don't, you could foreclose on that property, and now you just acquired that property for those back taxes. So you can get $100,000 house for $5,000. Now, is every single one going to be a home run? No. Are people going to play the system and then around tax time cash out and pay it off? Yes, right? But it's more about casting a big net. So we're buying a bunch of them. At the very least, we're getting way better interest than you would if you were just putting this in your saving deposit box, or if you had it in a savings account, or even if you had it in a CD or the stock market, right? Because the average returns on those is, between 6 and 12%, right? Especially if you got a really good one. But mainly it's about 6 to 8% as the annual return on stocks. If I can get 18%, I mean, that's amazing. Illinois is actually one of the highest interest rates that you can bid up to. It's 36% interest that you could charge.
It's like some credit cards.
Yeah, it's crazy. Obviously, anybody that comes in lower than 36 is going to beat you. But if it's a piece of crap house and the land is at least worth that, so that's some free game I want to give you guys. It's really easy. You can buy these. You can go on the county website and check out all the tax liens. It'll show you the auction date. I know Illinois and specific, they do all their tax auctions in the winter months because it's less busy, and that's when they really start doing that. So it's an amazing way to get into a lot of different deals for a little bit of money and get a far better rate of return without any risk. Okay, now you're probably wondering, this sounds way too good to be true. Matt just told us about a scam, right? So no, this is not. There is some risk. The only risk is if you buy like some swamp land, or if you have, like a house that is like burnt down or something like that. That's the only risk. But I mean, that is so few and far between. But the cool thing also is, say if there's, and here's a question you may be wondering. Well, what if there's a mortgage on the property? Do I got to go satisfy that mortgage? The lien, if in first position, trumps the mortgage. So even though you got a 5, the bank has to eat the mortgage balance. They don't get paid. You just got a free house. Well, not free, but for the $5,000. So that's how powerful this strategy can be. So I hope y'all got some value from it. If you got any questions, we're about to open it up for the Q&A, but I just wanted to give you guys some game, give you guys some thanks for staying on the live with us. We truly appreciate your time. We know it's valuable, just like ours is. And so unless you got anything to add, MJ, we can go right into Q&A if you like.
Yeah, no, you're good. I think I remember you telling me about that years ago. I don't think I fully understood it then, because I'm not as what's the word I'm looking for? Wasn't as interested maybe then. This was years ago, as I am now. But my mind is spinning right now on that.
It's amazing. There's no lose, like I said, unless you don't do any due diligence on the property and you just show up and just start throwing stuff around. But in all reality, even if you only get the land, it's a good deal. Yeah, right? You're going to be able to sell that for at least a 5x profit. So there's no way you lose with those kind of deals.
Yeah, even if they do pay it off early, I mean, you're getting interest on your money.
Yeah. Yep. They have to pay you all the interest and everything you paid. So if you've been paying $5,000 and then you paid 3 more months to catch up, they have to pay, and that's a revolving interest. So the interest is compounding.
Yeah.
So it's interest on this month, then the amount. Yeah. Come on now.
Compound interest is the best interest when you're on the other side.
I think Ben Franklin said compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. So.
Yeah. Yep, that's how they get you. If anyone has any questions,
and honestly, we can invite them up and they can jump on here and actually talk.
Yeah, I thought about that as well.
So if you have any questions, send us an invite on here to join us up here. We're going to pull you up and satisfy all your questions until you have no more. So one-on-one mentorship for free right here. Get up, ask those questions, and that's the reward for staying with us and being loyal to the live and staying on here. So who got the question?
I think it'll pop up on your end on who's coming.
Okay.
I don't think it'll show me. Let me see.
I know somebody got the question. It doesn't matter how big or small, how minute or stupid you may think it is. I promise you, Everybody that's successful right now had a beginning. They started somewhere. So there's no judgment. This is a safe place. Ask whatever you think, or give us the fears. Anything that's stopping you from doing any of this, jump on here and tell me what you're scared of, and let's go through that. Let's work through that. Whatever I can do to give some value, whatever MJ can do to give you guys some value, we're willing to do it. So, but you got to ask for the help, right? You got to ask for it. Closed mouths don't get fed.
And sometimes people, I've been there too, is you don't know what to ask, right? And it took me a while before I even would get on and role play in my Zoom room with my team. Like, because I think sometimes is that fear of embarrassment or like nervousness or you look stupid, but you cannot, unless you're vulnerable, you cannot grow. Like, the more I started becoming more vulnerable and getting on camera and like talking and role playing, I could fix a lot of the stuff. Like, we can't help you if we don't know. So like Kaden would always say that to us too. Like, if you guys don't role play, if you guys don't ask the questions, I don't know where if you don't record your calls, I don't know where you're messing up. I don't know where I can help you. Like, I don't know how to help you if you don't tell me.
And you can have comfort and you can have growth, but you can't have both.
Yeah.
So you got to pick one.
Yeah. There is a question in the chat. Do you know where to start for an LLC, investors for art studio, extra study for insurance license in Illinois? So where to start for insurance license in Illinois, it's called, oh gosh, exam. You have to take a pre-licensing course. Pearson View is one. I can't think of the other name. I'll drop it in the comments here after, but you have to take a pre-licensing course on life and health. They go hand in hand. And then you'll have to do 2 8-hour courses a day. One for life for 8 hours, one for health for 8 hours on a Zoom, not a Zoom. No, it is a Zoom. You're just not, okay, you're in the course now. And then did you do which one are you on? Like which, and when you're saying extra study, so besides that course, I would look up Insurance Queen is her name on Google. She has like so much, okay, yeah, look up Google Insurance Queen. She actually stayed at one of my Airbnbs in DeKalb.
Oh, nice.
So cool. Yeah, because she saw in my bio life insurance broker, and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm the insurance queen." I was like, "Oh my God, I like used you to pass my life insurance."
Right.
And just for statistics, April, some people it takes 3 to 4 times to pass the test. If you do those study guides over and over and over on the pre-licensing course until you hit about 80%, you'll pass the test. I was so nervous. There's also another trick to it. I just learned this the other day because I'm telling all the people that are coming on underneath me. When you're taking those tests, if you start getting all the answers correct, they actually make the test harder. So what you'll want to do is in the first 15 to 25 questions, if you know without a doubt that you know the answer, flag the question, right? Like flag it, which will put to the system that you're unsure, you're not like very familiar with it, and the questions will get easier. Now, if you don't know, yes, but if you're getting them all right, the questions actually get harder. I forget, it's like a curve something they call it. So just flag them. But if you're not 100% sure anyway, just keep it moving. But the insurance queen, I will drop her. As far as an LLC, it's my second time in the course. Yeah, I'll drop her in the comments. She helped a lot. I even have some notes of my own. I was just helping a friend of mine. He's getting his Excel as the course. Yep, very familiar. Just take those end courses until you get 80%. Munchie also, I'll let you answer that one about the LLC. You can just go right on the Illinois website.
Well, that's for your EIN, yeah. But yeah. So April, about the LLC, in regards to that, there's a site that you can go on. You can go on a bunch of them. They got like LegalZoom and all that stuff. But the cheapest one is BIZEE.com. There's 0 filing fees. You just got to pay the state filing fee, which is unavoidable anyway. I think it's $155. what I would do is before you name your LLC is Google the Secretary of State business name inquiry. And what that's going to do is allow you to make sure that that LLC name hasn't been taken already, because then your LLC will get dejected. So make sure you incorporate that name in there. Make sure that it hasn't been taken. If it hasn't, then go ahead and jump on and finalize the LLC process. And then you're going to go on to irs.gov, where you're going to get an EIN number, which is your business's social security number. And you're going to apply for them. That's absolutely free and can be done in, a couple minutes, like 2 minutes. You fill out a couple questions and it's as easy as that. And then just go get your business bank account and you're legit.
So she did ask you to repeat that, but I have a question really quick, because I just use the Illinois Secretary of State website I just did an LLC. This last year I did my insurance under just my social, like a 1099.
Oh, yeah.
I knew it was my first year. I knew it wasn't going to be anything crazy. This year I know I'm building something huge. But I just go to the state website for my LLC, one, because I can check the name right there. And I know they're not going to try to hit me with any fees at the end.
Right.
I am seasoned, so I know if I were to use that website, the fees are not, you don't have to pay them. But for someone new, would you recommend that they just go file it on the state's website?
I mean, they could. I've had some people like some of the questions confuse them. So that's why I recommend Busy. It's very easy and user friendly. But yeah, if you wanted to like get more further information about that LLC, feel free to reach out. I can help walk you through the process. But again, you're going to go on Busy, B-I-Z as in zebra, E-E.com, and then just work right through that. And then the place where you do the business name inquiry is the Secretary of State. So.
Yeah, I think actually there is a post Matt made after a live, and he posts all the links. So one of us will try to find that and tag you in it.
Yeah.
She also asked in there, just to make sure that we didn't miss, investors for art studios. You're looking for an investor? I'm not quite sure if you could explain that. And then John, Brad. Now, do either one of you want to hop on here and ask whatever? John, Brad, hey, Matt, just wanted to say that I borrowed your Facebook looking for distressed homes. I didn't get anything on my post, but a family friend shared it on his wall. And I had a guy message me about 30 minutes ago that he has 2 properties he's looking to upload. I'll keep you updated on how it goes. I'm going to call him right after we get off.
Heck yeah, let's go. I love it. Yeah, man. I made a post about wanting to buy up some properties, and he just pretty much copy pasted, throw it on the site, and look, now the guy's getting some deals, man. That's incredible. So, way to take action, brother.
Yeah,
good luck, man. I'd love to hear about how those go, man.
Well, if no one has any questions or where's Stefan? Stefan, are you here? I know you got questions, Stefan. Where are you at? I thought for sure he'd want to hop on. He must not be watching. Stefan is amazing. Stefan adds so much value into the group, so much engagement.
We appreciate you, brother.
He is going to be successful. He has the drive, the discipline. He's really putting himself out there. I'm really excited to see where he'll be in the next year or so.
Well, my phone is about to die, so if there's no more questions, I gotta go.
Yeah.
So if it stops, please. I didn't hang up on you, I promise. But
yeah,
we love you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. Any questions that you have after this live, feel free to drop in the comments, and we'll be more than happy to get to you. But if not, man, we thank you guys so much for chilling with us and tuning in, and we hope we were able to provide some value.
Yeah, and also we had our last in-person first meetup last weekend. We plan to do those maybe once a month, maybe every other month. If you guys have any suggestions on, my mind was just thinking this week, like last time we did the vision board and mindset, like what we could do next time. If you guys have any ideas, it was an awesome turnout.
Oh yeah.
I was still in like, whoa. So we're excited to have another one. We were supposed to talk this week, but again, Matt and I were very busy within our businesses. We didn't get a chance to connect really But we'll be planning that out here in the near future.
And we'll iron
So any,
that out and get the event out to you guys
yeah,
too, so you guys have time to plan.
exactly. But if you have any ideas or like places we can go, I'm assuming like where we went at 4 Star is great to go. I love it there. Go there anytime you want some good food, but we'll probably outgrow that space. So if you guys have any recommendations on where we can meet, that's always awesome too. Or if you have a little like, you know, I
Yeah,
don't know,
if
maybe one day.
you guys have a restaurant, that'd be even better, so that
Yeah,
we can help promote your business and bring you guys some money. So
yeah. Or even like maybe in the summer we meet at the Tonic Airbnb outside. I don't know, have a little something. But anyways, thanks guys for jumping on. We'll see you soon.
yep, thank you guys. Till next
Bye.
time.